First Glimpse of Sol. Chapter 1. The Awakening of Sol. 10,000 years ago, the Dothari people stood on the precipice of an era of discovery. Having unified their fractured world, they set their sights on the stars, driven by an innate curiosity and an unshakable belief that the universe was far from empty. While their planet, Dortha Prime, teemed with life, lush forests, vibrant oceans, and bioluminescent skies tinged with a soft purple hue, an emptiness lingered in their hearts. The Dothari had explored countless star systems, witnessed the dance of distant suns, and catalogued worlds both barren and bountiful. Yet, despite their efforts, the universe offered no sign of intelligent life. The Dothari were a race of striking appearance. Towering at 3 meters tall, their bodies were a blend of graceful avian features and humanoid form. Their wings, vast and powerful, allowed them to glide effortlessly through the air, while their arms, shaped for dexterity, allowed them to build, create, and communicate with precision. Their plumage, once vibrant and dazzling, now reflected the passage of centuries. They were an ancient people, their civilization far older than humanity's, yet still bound by a sense of wonder and hope that they were not alone. The history of their exploration was one of cautious optimism. As they ventured further and further into the cosmos, they discovered life in abundance, forests teeming with creatures, oceans filled with bizarre and wonderful marine life, and planets that seemed to whisper secrets of their own. But no matter how far they traveled, no sign of another intelligent species ever emerged. Until one day, their long-range sensor probes, designed to search for signs of life beyond their star system, intercepted a peculiar signal emanating from the Sol system. Specifically, a pale blue dot among the stars. Earth. The data was compelling, though incomplete. It showed signs of rapid technological development, a species capable of altering its environment in significant ways. The Dothari had never before encountered anything like this. Their excitement was palpable. Could this be it? Could this be the first sign of intelligent life, the first confirmation that they were not alone in the universe? Ambassador Pelksan, an elder Dothari diplomat nearing the end of her 2-century lifespan, was among the first to hear of the discovery. She was a being of vibrant plumage, her wings spread wide as she met with Captain Forgan, her lifelong friend, and the captain of the Dothari starship Resurgent Hope. Pelsan's aging plumage had faded with the years, but her spirit remained as fiery as ever. "This is what we've been waiting for," she said, her voice filled with a mixture of excitement and wisdom. "After millennia of exploring, to finally find evidence of another sentient species. This is more than just a discovery. It is the beginning of something greater." Captain Forgan, a stalwart and cautious leader, studied the star maps. Her own plumage was bright and youthful, reflecting her role as the ship's captain. She nodded solemnly, her mind racing with possibilities. "We must approach with care. We have no idea what we will find there. These humans, as they are called, may not be ready for our presence." "I don't care about readiness," Pelksan replied. "I care about discovery. We will approach with respect, but we must move forward." The two Dothari exchanged a look, both hopeful and anxious, before boarding the Resurgent Hope, a starship unlike any other. It was a living vessel, its dark hull sleek and organic, with curves that seemed to shift and breathe as it traveled through space. The ship was equipped with the latest in Dothari technology, capable of traversing vast distances at speeds unimaginable to most other species. It would take them mere days to reach Earth from Dortha Prime, a journey that would have taken any other species decades. Pelksan settled into her suite aboard the ship, her thoughts swirling. She reflected on her long years of service, the countless systems she had visited, and the civilizations she had encountered. But never before had she encountered anything like this. The unknown was tantalizing, and she could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. Captain Forgan, meanwhile, oversaw the final preparations for departure. She was a strategist at heart, calculating every move with precision. The journey to Earth was an opportunity to learn, to forge alliances, and perhaps to secure a place in the greater galactic community for the Dothari Union. But it was also a risk. The humans could be hostile. They could misunderstand the Dothari's intentions. They could be just as cautious and fearful as the Dothari had once been when they first ventured into space. As the Resurgent Hope powered up and its engines hummed to life, Pelksan joined Forgan in the command center. The time had come. The two friends exchanged a look of quiet determination. "Let's go, F. Find out what humanity is made of," Pelksan said, her voice filled with hope. And so, with the stars as their guide, the Resurgent Hope departed Dortha Prime, leaving behind their peaceful world for the first time in millennia. The vast, uncharted expanse of the universe awaited them, and somewhere far beyond, Earth beckoned. Chapter 2. Signals from the Past. The hum of the Resurgent Hope's engines reverberated through the vessel as it glided through hyperspace, a realm where the universe stretched and contracted in strange, unmeasurable ways. On board, the crew moved with calm efficiency, accustomed to the surreal nature of hyperspace travel. Yet, for Ambassador Pelksan, there was an almost palpable sense of anticipation in the air. After millennia of waiting, they were finally on the verge of confirming the existence of intelligent life. Earth, a planet teeming with a species who perhaps could hold the answers to questions that had plagued the Dothari for centuries. Captain Forgan, ever the cautious leader, sat in the command center, monitoring the ship's systems. Her sharp eyes flicked across the myriad of data streams, but her thoughts, like Pelksan's, were elsewhere. They were nearing the point where they could observe the first confirmed signals from Earth. But there was a strange quality to the excitement. It was not just the discovery of life, but the promise of something more profound. Perhaps a new ally, or perhaps something that would challenge everything the Dothari had built. In the communications hub of the ship, Communications Chief Perkix stood next to the massive sensor array, tweaking and adjusting the dials to improve their reception. Perkix was a steady presence on the bridge, their movements fluid and purposeful. Their role as Chief of Communications aboard the Resurgent Hope was one of the most important on the ship, and they took it seriously. The Dothari had always prided themselves on the clarity and efficiency of their communication systems, and Perkix was no exception. "I'm locking in the frequency range now," Perkix said, their voice calm but carrying a note of anticipation. Pelksan stepped up to the console, her bright plumage now tinged with a slight dullness, the weight of age settling onto her form. "What are we receiving, Chief?" Perkix adjusted a few more settings, and then the room was filled with static. For a few moments, it sounded like the deep hum of a vast and distant storm. Then, slowly, the static cleared, and a voice emerged, crackling with age but unmistakably human. "It is now August 6th, 1945. The time is 9:15 a.m. The room fell silent. Pelksan's wings fluttered with excitement, and Forgan leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the screen. The voice continued, a news report, telling of an event that, to the humans of that time, was no doubt earth-shattering. "The atomic bomb has just been dropped on Hiroshima, Japan, and the world is on the precipice of what many are calling the end of an era." Pelksan's wings stiffened. The sound of it was jarring, unsettling even. Atomic bombs, human warfare, this was the first thing they heard. The war, the destruction. It wasn't what she had expected. She had hoped for something more. Uplifting, more hopeful. "What is this? Why does this signal sound so ancient?" Pelksan asked, turning to Captain Forgan. Forgan frowned, her expression taut. "It's traveling at the speed of light, from nearly 200 light years away. This is Earth's past, a time long gone." Pelksan swallowed hard, feeling a tightness in her chest. She had hoped for confirmation of a species' survival, its potential for growth. But what she had received was a relic of humanity's darkest hour, a reminder of destruction and death. Still, she tried to remain composed. "Continue, Chief. Let's see what else we can find." Perkix adjusted a few more controls, and soon the transmission shifted. Now it was the voice of a man, deep and serious. "The Cold War has begun, with tensions rising between the United States and the Soviet Union. It seems the world is teetering on the edge of another conflict, A long silence settled over the crew. The weight of humanity's past hung heavy in the air. It was not the peaceful utopia Pelkson had imagined, but instead a fractured world, struggling to keep itself intact. "We're almost there," Forgan murmured. "This was the past. We must get to the present." But Pelkson couldn't shake the feeling of unease. She had thought that humanity, in its technological advancement, might have left behind such horrors. Instead, they seemed to carry it forward, as if those early scars were still very much alive. What if... Pelkson's voice trailed off, a new thought entering her mind. What if this was merely a glimpse? What if we misunderstood what we were seeing? Captain Forgan nodded. "We cannot judge based on fragments. We must move forward." And so they continued. But as they sifted through more broadcasts, news reports, brief snippets of everyday human life, advertisements for products, the sense of unease lingered. There were still hints of humanity's darker past, but here and there, amidst the chaos, they began to find something more curious: science fiction stories. "Here," Perkic said, turning the dial, "there's a radio broadcast. It's a story." The transmission filled the room with a different kind of energy. The voices were animated, brimming with wonder. A human man, his tone full of enthusiasm, described a fantastical journey through space, a story of exploration, of heroes traveling to distant stars aboard strange vessels. This is what we heard in their stories," Pelkson mused, her wings folding back as she watched the screen. "What is this? A vision of the future or mere fantasy?" Forgan crossed her arms. "It could be both. These humans, they seem to possess remarkable imagination. But does this reflect their true scientific knowledge? Or is it an escape from the harsh realities of their world?" Pelkson considered this, her thoughts racing. There's a fine line between imagination and possibility. If their fiction is to be believed, they may already be on the cusp of exploring the stars. But this could simply be an elaborate dream. How many species have dreamt of what they could become, only to fall short? Forgan leaned forward. "It's possible that these stories represent a kind of scientific hope. Perhaps they see the stars, and their place among them, as something attainable, if they can overcome their conflicts." "And yet we've seen their past," Pelkson said, her voice heavy. "They seem far from ready. The horrors of war, the threat of annihilation. Can they truly make such a leap?" The two Dothari stood in silence, contemplating the implications of what they had found. Earth was not the hopeful utopia they had envisioned. But perhaps it wasn't too late. Perhaps, in the chaos of war and struggle, there was still the potential for something greater. "We will continue on course," Pelkson declared finally. "We must see them for ourselves, to understand the truth." Forgan nodded, a look of quiet determination crossing her face. "We'll go to Earth, but we'll do so cautiously. They may be more complex than we first thought." With that, the resurgent hope continued its journey through the void, its course set toward Earth and toward the unknown future that awaited. Chapter 3: The First Encounter. The UECS. Icarus sat poised in orbit above the moon, a massive testament to humanity's newfound ambition. Her hull gleamed under the distant light of the sun, its edges sharp and purposeful, a far cry from the rough, clunky ships of the past. Months of hard work, meticulous design, and countless trials had led to this moment. The shakedown cruises were finally over, and the time had come for her maiden voyage. The Icarus was unlike any ship humanity had ever built. Standing over 500 meters long and bristling with cutting-edge technology, she was humanity's first true interstellar vessel. Constructed at the Fleet Yard in lunar orbit, the ship was a marvel of both human engineering and ingenuity. The design was a balance of brute strength and sleek efficiency, featuring reinforced hull plating to withstand the stresses of hyperspace travel, while also incorporating advanced propulsion systems capable of propelling them across the vast gulf between the stars in a matter of days. For the past year, the crew of the Icarus had been conducting shakedown cruises, testing every aspect of the ship's systems and ensuring that every part of the vessel was operating at peak efficiency. Captain John Jameson, a seasoned veteran of the UEC Space Force, had overseen every stage of the ship's trials with a meticulous eye, ensuring that nothing was left to chance. "You can feel it, can't you?" Dr. Jeremy Saunders, the ship's chief medical officer and Jameson's husband, said as they walked the length of the ship's observation deck. "We're really doing it. We're going to Alpha Centauri." Jameson grinned. "I feel it. I think everyone does. The ship's ready. The crew's ready. This is history." Indeed, the excitement on board was palpable. The crew was energized, buzzing with the thrill of venturing beyond their home system for the first time. After centuries of space exploration, humanity was finally taking its first steps toward becoming an interstellar species. The entire crew had worked tirelessly to prepare for this mission. Engineers had fine-tuned every system, navigators had memorized the star charts, and scientists had spent months preparing for the journey into the unknown. "We've come a long way," said Lieutenant Sarah White, the ship's lead navigator, as she checked her terminal in the command center. "From the first crewed space station to a ship capable of jumping across the stars. It's humbling." Jameson's voice grew more serious as he surveyed the deck. "We haven't just built a ship. We've built the future." As the countdown for launch drew nearer, the ship's systems were checked one last time. The hum of the engines, the blinking lights, the soft whir of machinery, all felt like the pulse of a living organism. The ship was ready to carry them across the cosmos, and everyone knew it. But amidst the celebrations and excitement, the crew remained vigilant. The maiden voyage was the first step, but the unknown depths of space held more than just stars. There were dangers, mysteries, and the unknown. The sensors on the ship flickered to life, and a sudden warning tone echoed through the command center. "Captain," White's voice rang out, steady but laced with concern. "We're detecting something. It's on an intercept course. It's moving fast." Jameson's gaze turned sharp. "What kind of anomaly?" White scanned the readouts. "I don't know, sir. It doesn't match anything we've encountered before. It's small, but it's moving at incredible speed. Whatever it is, it's coming fast." Jameson's mind raced. "Can you identify it?" "No, sir. It's outside of our usual scan parameters." Jameson moved quickly, walking to the tactical station. "Can we avoid it?" White hesitated, her fingers tapping nervously at the console. "Not at this speed, sir. It's too close, and it's coming in too fast." The tension in the room mounted. The crew's excitement was quickly replaced by confusion and caution. The Icarus wasn't due to encounter any anomalies this far from the inner solar system, and yet, here they were, facing something that had yet to be identified. "Raise shields and prepare for evasive maneuvers," Jameson ordered, his voice cold and precise. Meanwhile, in the Sol system, aboard the Resurgent Hope had dropped out of hyperspace near Saturn, the ship's curves glinting in the distant light of the sun as it drifted toward the gas giant. Ambassador Pelksan stood before the massive observation window, her wings unfurled as she gazed out at the swirling bands of Saturn's rings. The view filled her with an overwhelming sense of joy. They had finally reached Earth's star system. The journey that had begun so many months ago had led them here, and now the vast expanse of space felt smaller, more manageable. Earth was within reach. "We're close, Captain," Pelksan said to Captain Forgan, her voice tinged with the excitement of a new chapter. "We've made it." Forgan stood beside her, her arms crossed as she observed the sensors. Despite the outward celebration, there was an air of caution about her. She glanced over at Pelksan, her expression serious. "I can feel it too, but don't let your guard down. Earth may seem peaceful now, but history has shown that humanity can change quickly. We need to be cautious." Pelksan smiled, the joy of the journey clouding her concerns. "I know what you're thinking, Captain, but look at them. They're peaceful. They've united, after all the years of war and strife." Forgan didn't share the same optimism. "Maybe, but peace doesn't always last, Pelksan. We don't know everything about them yet. We haven't even met them." Pelksan's wings fluttered gently, but her optimism remained unshaken. "I'm not so worried. I think they've come a long way. Peace is a hard thing to come by, but they've made it. Back on the Resurgent Hope, the bridge crew was monitoring Earth's transmissions, confirming what they had hoped for. The broadcasts showed signs of unity, of a planet healing from its tumultuous past. The content of the transmissions reflected a humanity working together, building cities, advancing science, and exploring space. It was everything Pelkson had imagined, but Forgan's unease didn't dissipate. "They seem to be on a good path," Pelkson said, her voice filled with optimism. "Look at how they've overcome their history. I believe they're ready for us." Forgan's eyes narrowed, her mind working. "Maybe, but I'm not convinced. We've seen the darkest sides of their history. Do you think those impulses are truly gone?" Pelkson turned to face her friend, her expression calm but firm. "We will find out soon enough." Suddenly, the sensor operator spoke, breaking the tension. "Captain Forgan, we're picking up a ship, heading toward Earth. It's the Icarus. It's from Earth." Pelkson's eyes widened in excitement. "They're here. It's humanity's first interstellar ship. We must reach out to them." With a deep breath, Pelkson activated the comms. "This is Ambassador Pelkson of the Dorthan Union aboard the Resurgent Hope. We are hailing the Icarus. We come in peace." Chapter 4: The Meeting of Worlds. The Resurgent Hope hung gracefully in Earth's orbit, a dark and sleek silhouette against the blue planet below. It had been a long journey from the far reaches of the galaxy, but now the Dothari ship had arrived at its destination. Ambassador Pelkson stood in the observation deck, her wings folded gently behind her as she gazed at Earth, a planet that had once seemed so distant, but now felt strangely close. She had waited for this moment for so long, and it was now unfolding before her very eyes. Captain Forgan stood beside her, equally mesmerized by the view. "We've made it," she said softly, her eyes flicking from the glowing orb below to the distant stars beyond. "It's beautiful." Pelkson nodded, her vibrant plumage shimmering faintly in the soft light of the observation bay. "It is, the human homeworld." The Icarus was docked nearby, its bulkier, less refined design a sharp contrast to the smooth elegance of the Resurgent Hope. Still, there was no mistaking the pride the humans felt for their ship. It was their first interstellar vessel, and it had already set the stage for humanity's future among the stars. Ambassador Pelkson's thoughts returned to the day when their sensors had first picked up the human transmissions, the mix of excitement and fear that had gripped her. For millennia, the Dothari had traveled through the galaxy, hoping to find a species like them, one capable of understanding and sharing in the mysteries of the universe. Earth was that species, though it had taken far longer than they had anticipated. As the Resurgent Hope completed its final approach to the Icarus, Captain Jackson Chambers of the Icarus was ready to make the most significant address of his life. He stood tall in the command center, his uniform crisp and his face composed, but there was an undeniable gleam of pride in his eyes as he prepared to meet the Dothari ambassador. "I'll be greeting Ambassador Pelkson personally," Captain Chambers said, turning to his crew. "This is not just a meeting between our ships. It's a meeting between worlds. This is the future of humanity." The crew of the Icarus had gathered in the observation bay to witness the historic event. They marveled at the sight of the Dothari ship and the alien ambassador who had come aboard. Pelkson's towering presence was awe-inspiring. The humans, who had never seen anything quite like her, could only stare in stunned silence. The meeting between the two species was held in the Icarus's command center, where Captain Chambers extended his welcome. "On behalf of all humanity," Captain Chambers began, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "I extend a warm welcome to you, Ambassador Pelkson. We are honored to have you here." Pelkson's wings fluttered lightly as she took a step forward, her gaze sweeping over the human crew. "Captain Chambers, the honor is mine. After all these years, to finally stand before another intelligent species, it is a moment we Dothari have longed for." "I cannot express how much it means to us," Pelkson continued, her voice rich with emotion. For millennia, we have traveled the stars, searching for a species like yours. When we first intercepted your transmissions, I feared it would be another empty hope. But now, I see that humanity is a species full of potential. Chambers nodded, his expression thoughtful. We've come a long way. The past few centuries have been a time of rebuilding. There was a time when humanity was fractured, torn apart by war. But we have united. We've healed much of the damage done to our planet, and now we are ready to reach out to the stars. We've always believed there were others out there, and now we know we were right. Dr. Chris Villari, the jovial chief medical officer of the Icarus, stepped forward with a smile. I must admit, Ambassador, I am more than a little starstruck. I mean, we've been dreaming of this moment for so long. To think that I'm standing in the presence of a being who has traveled farther than we ever imagined. It's beyond words. Pelksan smiled warmly, her wings shifting slightly as she addressed the human crew. And I am equally fascinated by your species, your potential, your resilience. I have heard much about the triumphs and struggles of your people. You have overcome great obstacles, just as we did, and now, together, we can explore new frontiers. Lakshmi Pidi, the quiet engineer from Bangalore, stood at the back of the room, her expression thoughtful as she listened to the conversation. What do you think the future holds? She asked softly, her voice cutting through the momentary silence. I mean, now that we've made contact, what's next for both of us? Pelksan's gaze turned to the engineer, her vibrant eyes full of understanding. That is why I have come, to learn, to exchange knowledge, to share in the exploration of this vast universe. There is much we can teach each other, much we can share. I invite you to Dothari Prime to continue this journey, to work together, to explore together, and to share our knowledge and cultures. Captain Forgan stepped forward, her cautious demeanor giving way to a moment of optimism. Your invitation is appreciated, Ambassador. We would be honored to join you. But there is more to this journey than just exploration. There are questions we all need answers to, about ourselves, about our place in the universe. Perhaps, in time, we will have the answers. Captain Chambers, his voice calm but filled with resolve, addressed the group. I believe we can be the bridge between our species. The future is ours to shape together. Pelksan looked at the crew of the Icarus, their excitement, their hope, and felt a stirring within her. This was what she had hoped for, what the Dothari had longed for. Not just contact, but cooperation. A future of shared discovery. I have also been invited to visit your world, Pelksan said, her tone gentle but firm. Before we embark on this grand journey together, I will travel to Earth. My first official visit as your ambassador. There is much to see, much to learn. I look forward to understanding the heart of humanity. As the crew of the Icarus watched, Pelksan's shuttle descended from the resurgent Hope, its sleek, organic form gliding gracefully toward Earth's surface. The planet below beckoned with all its beauty, complexity, and potential. For the first time, an extraterrestrial ambassador would set foot on Earth. It was the beginning of a new chapter in the story of both species. And so, as the shuttle descended through the clouds, the Icarus and Resurgent Hope remained in orbit, a symbol of unity and hope for the future. Conclusion: the beginning of a new era. The Resurgent Hope and the Icarus glided together through the vast expanse of space, their ships now aligned in orbit above the alien world of Dothari Prime. The two vessels had made the long journey across the stars, carrying their respective crews to the homeworld of the Dothari. For both species, this moment represented not just the end of a voyage, but the beginning of a new chapter in the story of the universe. Inside the Resurgent Hope, the two crews gathered together in the ship's expansive observation deck, watching the lush, purple-tinted planet below. The vibrant colors of the planet, from the deep green of its oceans to the luminous purple of its skies, were breathtaking, a sharp contrast to the cold, sterile beauty of space. Yet it was the life on Dothari Prime that made the planet truly extraordinary. The world seemed to pulse with energy, alive in ways that no human or Dothari had experienced in their travels. The thought of landing on such a planet, of stepping onto its soil, filled everyone aboard with anticipation. Ambassador Pelksan stood before the gathered crews, her wings folded behind her. The aging diplomat had seen much in her long life, but this moment was different. She was about to witness the meeting of two species who had once been separated by vast distances, different worlds, and different histories. She could feel the weight of the moment, but she also felt the optimism that had driven the Dothari people for centuries. "This is it," Pelksan said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "We stand on the precipice of something greater than either of our species has ever known. The journey we've taken together, the lessons we've learned, have only just begun. Today marks the beginning of our partnership, of our shared future." Captain Jackson Chambers of the Icarus stood nearby, his gaze fixed on the planet below. His crew, once excited and uncertain about the unknown, now stood united with the Dothari. They had traveled to the edge of the stars, and now they were about to experience the vastness of a new world, one that held promises not just for exploration, but for collaboration. "We've always looked to the stars," Captain Chambers said, his voice filled with quiet pride. "But I never imagined we'd be standing here today, with the people of Dothari Prime. This partnership is more than just a mission. It's a symbol of what humanity can achieve when we put aside our divisions and work towards something greater. We've made it this far, but the true work begins now. Our future, together, is wide open." Dr. Chris Valeri, the Icarus's chief medical officer, stood beside him, looking at the Dothari crew with a mixture of awe and admiration. "There's so much to learn and so much to share," he said. "Your technology, your understanding of the cosmos, it's a different way of thinking. I can only imagine what we'll discover as we work together." Engineer Lakshmi Pedi, always quiet but fiercely intelligent, spoke up from the back of the room. "We'll build new technologies, new ways of thinking about our place in the universe. Together, we have the potential to reach beyond what either species could have achieved alone." Captain Forgan of the Resurgent Hope stepped forward, her gaze somber but filled with resolve. "We are at the threshold of something remarkable. Our species have always been driven by curiosity, by the desire to understand. But we must also approach this journey with respect. We must remember that the road ahead is long, and not without its challenges. Our partnership must be built on trust, cooperation, and understanding." Pelksan nodded, her wings unfolding slightly. "Forgan is right. The path we walk together is one of discovery, but also of responsibility. We must tread carefully, always mindful of the ways we impact each other. But I have faith that we are ready. Together we will explore the stars, share our knowledge, and grow in ways neither of us can yet comprehend." The Resurgent Hope slowly descended toward Dothari Prime, the ship's organic curves gliding gracefully through the planet's atmosphere. The excitement in the air was tangible. As the ship neared the surface, the human and Dothari crews exchanged looks of determination, hope, and wonder. They were no longer two separate species, but one united by a shared purpose, a desire to explore, to learn, and to forge a future together. As the ship touched down on the surface of Dothari Prime, a sense of awe and anticipation filled the room. They were the first to set foot on this world, and they would be the first to step into a future of shared knowledge and cooperation. The doors of the ship opened, and the crew stepped out onto the soft, purple-tinted soil of Dothari Prime. The planet, alive with color and energy, welcomed them as they made their way toward the waiting Dothari leaders. This was a new beginning, for humanity, for the Dothari, and for the universe itself. The two species, bound by their shared journey, now stood together on the threshold of the unknown, ready to face the future as allies, explorers, and friends.